If you look at the stock market
yeah,
and you see
delusional.
Tesla going up $200 after Donald Trump won the president, I don't see how anybody can tell me that stocks are real when Tesla goes up that much just because Donald Trump becomes the president. Really, it's a bullshit number to begin with.
Wait, are we actually going to be going back to like fucking Econ 101 where we just assume like all of these imaginary numbers are not real? So economics is not real, temperature is not real, math is not real, gravity is not real because we can't see it, we can't touch it. Is that why? Or do you think like there's no actual measure of the economy? Do you think that the economy is immeasurable? That the economy itself doesn't even exist, right?
Deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, yeah, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
It's like, these are the same people who say like, oh yeah, the economy is not real. Oh, stocks are not real. But then they're on the other hand, they'll say like, oh, sex and gender are absolutely real concepts. Dress is correlated with girl and pants is correlated with boys. It's like, okay, so you're saying that there's something in boy genes, right? Somewhere in boy DNA, it compels them to wear pants, and somewhere in girl DNA, it compels them to wear dresses, right? So they'll probably argue that something like that is real rather than like something like this. It's like this. It's these same conservatives that would also say like, oh, evolution is not real, evolution is not a thing, it's all God. Like you have so much faith in somebody like Donald Trump, but then the moment it comes to like economics and stocks, it's like, oh, all this stuff is fake. Dude, again, this is a leftist take, okay? Saying that economics is fake, saying that, oh, economics is just astrology for young men, right? For young investors and stuff. It's such a big, mundane, immature take that nobody in their right mind would ever adopt, all right? Yeah, it's just so cringe.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating.
There it is. All right.
400%. I do business. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never
World Trade Organization
abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, why are you going to play against somebody who's map hacking? Why are you going to play against somebody who's aimbotting? If these people are going into, if they're going into the negotiation and they're just breaking the rules, then what the fuck are you going to do?
They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts.
Wow.
They take
That's another thing. Yeah, exactly. See, people have no recourse in order to do anything when they get taken advantage of by China. You can't trust them. Yeah, I mean that's it, right? I mean, like, what? It's obvious.
Astrology for young men. I'm using that from now on. There you go. All right, use it in your crusade against men. Okay, I wish you good luck, Comrade Lin. China, there it is. I don't know, that's kind of funny.
People have known about the tariffs before anyone was sold at the top. When prices dips, they bought more. Now prices increase and they're richer. Sure, of course they're going to go up. Like, if the stock market goes up, their money's going to go up. I mean, that's the way it works with anything. Like, that's not a rich people thing. That's the way the numbers work.
Technology.
No, that's not the point. The point is that people already knew that Trump was going to recede the fucking tariffs. That's the point, is that people knew before everybody else that Trump was going to take back the tariffs so that they could sell their stocks at a high. That's what that chatter was talking about. But like, but you weren't smart enough to figure it out, right? Like, or maybe that chatter is actually talking about like, people buy at a high, buy at a low, sell at a high, right? But yeah, but like that's still substantial, isn't it? Like, okay, I don't even know Asmongold's point anymore. I'm fucking lost
Steal
myself.
it, they manufacture it, sell it back here.
At some point, you gotta give up, okay?
Never has it admitted.
What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no.
Why the fuck would she do that? Okay, like someone says, okay, she wakes up every day. He goes to sleep soundly while Trump wakes up in a cold sweat thinking about she, okay? You think the chatter is talking about insider trading? No. I don't think the chatter is talking about insider trading. I don't think that's good faith.
For decades.
Hold on. I actually want to go back.
Breaking the rules, then what the fuck are you going to do?
I do business.
I hope he backs off.
But Kevin, he said there's a lot of...
Is that an accurate number? Yeah. I mean, and also, like, well, here's a good way to look at it. If you look at the stock market and you see Tesla going up $200 after Donald Trump won the presidency, I don't see how anybody can tell me that stocks are real when Tesla goes up that much just because Donald Trump becomes the president. Really, it's a bullshit number to begin with.
Deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
100 tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating
There it is. All right.
for. I do business.
400.
They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have
It's the
never
World Trade Organization.
abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, why are you going to play against somebody who's map hacking? Why are you going to play against somebody who's aimbotting?
Fuck, what the fuck was that chatter saying? I can't find it anymore.
If these people are going into, if they're going into the negotiation and they're just breaking the rules, then what the fuck are you going to do?
They cheat, they steal, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts.
That's another thing. Yeah, exactly. See, is there people have no recourse in order to do anything when they get taken advantage of by China? You can't trust them? Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, like, what? It's obvious. People have known about the tariffs before anyone was sold at the top. When prices dips, they bought more. Now prices increase and they're richer. Sure, of course they're going to go up. Like, if the stock market goes up, their money's going to go up. I mean, that's the way it works with anything. Like, that's not a rich people thing. That's the way the numbers work.
Technology, they steal it, they manufacture.
Okay, I don't even know what that chatter was referring to in the first place. I don't even know if there's a point to be made. Okay, fuck. I don't know.
Manufacture it, sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans.
The Trump call has gone too far, I think. Like, if billionaires like these people are willing to throw away millions of dollars for this, it's just like, oh man, fuck me, dude.
No administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have.
This is it. This is the reason. This is a massive amount. Huge, huge amount.
Nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world.
This okay, so you can't just say this is the reason when this is the first time I've heard of this reason. All right? Because Trump never mentioned, or I don't hear any of his agents mention them bringing up IP in any of the press conferences. I don't remember them bringing up IP in any of the press releases or any of the press meetings or anything. This can't be the reason. It just literally cannot be, because this is the first time I've heard it being brought up. If it was actually the reason, Trump's people would actually bring it up already. Because there's no reason to withhold the real reason behind it. No reason. The more you have an earlier consistent message, the better. So no, this can't be the real reason behind this. No. His reason is his bad experiences in trading in China? No. He's referring to intellectual property, which again is the first time I've heard of this. So it can't be the real reason behind it.
Cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there.
I think this is probably true to an extent. I think it's a very dangerous game to play, but it is probably true to an extent that if you damage the country enough and you throw them into an economic depression, that it will destabilize the government.
Because we are still 39.
Bro, you really think like the US can fully destabilize China's government through tariffs, through economic punishments? There's no freaking way. There's absolutely no freaking way that's happening. It's not happening. I'm not denying that the copyright law in China is awful. Yeah, no, like, for sure, 100%, right? But again, it can't be the stated reason, because this is the first time I'm hearing about it. And it's from a total cuckoo talking head that, isn't... I don't think this is a voice to be heard about, Is that a fucking doomsday clock for the tariff? That's a doomsday clock for the tariff. Jesus Christ, man.
And 25% of the world's GDP.
What the fuck?
America is the #1 economy on earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well,
I'm
hold
not
on
talking
a
about
second,
tariffs
Kevin.
on
Well,
60.
I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about
Leave my Chinese dramas alone. Lynn, what will happen is that if you ever get your if you ever get your access cut off from the Chinese dramas, what I'll do is that I'll go over to China, get some DVDs for you, and I'll ship it over there to your house. Like,
people, average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the
It's
goods they're going to have?
short-lived. There will be
But what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning.
oh, she's black. Yeah, she's black. There it is, guys.
Kevin can't
Okay.
say this, but I'm going to say this.
Uh-oh.
This is the truth. There are necessary sacrifices, and Trump is willing to make them. That's the reason.
No, he's retarded.
So is China, too, by the way. China has no problem sacrificing its people, and I don't think Trump has that much of a problem sacrificing us.
Americans' timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington.
Bro, but you know, if it was actually sacrificing a little bit to get more out of it, I would actually be happier with that. But instead, what we're looking at is that we're sacrificing a lot for nothing. So, you know, it's not the
Cut a
same.
deal.
What do you think?
You know, here's the thing, though. This is the perfect example of, I understand how it would benefit you.
Thank God, mostly dramas before and after the Qing Dynasty. I can't deal with the hairstyles of that period. Okay, I have to search that up
But
now.
that's not what the American people voted.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't need to search it up. You're talking about the bald head with the little teeny tiny ponytail, right? I think I know what you're talking
for.
about.
They voted
The
because
American people didn't vote for tariffs? Really? I think that the American people absolutely voted to minimize.
Yeah, no, Lynn. Trust me, most people share that sentiment. Okay, it's not very popular. People like feminine men, okay, who are cool as fuck. All right, they're super suave and dress in pretty clothing, and they have long ass hair. Okay, they have long ass hair and they have braids and shit. Okay. That's what people are into. And second of all, or they're into like the regular 21st century hairstyle, okay?
China's control on manufacturing and to relocate manufacturing to the U.S. I feel like this was a core principle that basically everybody that voted for Trump voted for.
I would not look good with that hairstyle.
I'm actually shocked
Trust
that this is even being discussed.
Uh-oh.
Trump said within 24 hours, costs will come down.
Trump supporters, by the way, you're talking about.
Well,
Especially.
Trump said that.
I don't know.
And there were people in the middle who said, okay, I'm going to vote for that. He also said he'd end the wars. That's not happening. We still have supply chain issues.
That's
So,
true. She's right about the war thing.
I just filled up my tank yesterday. Gas prices are not down. Rent.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I saw gas was down. I mean, I guess it's probably regional, but at least here, gas is definitely down.
Groceries prices are not down. And when people are looking at what's happening in the markets and they see the uncertainty and they see their 401ks, I had to listen to my mom talk about her investments on Sunday and she's nervous. I get it. On top of that, though, don't forget, tomorrow we're going to have a vote on a budget that is going to be also another series of cuts for the American people and a little bit of gamesmanship, as you were saying, so that we can sort of pay for the tax cuts for folks like Kevin. Then we've also got Doge, and we've got the impact that the Doge cuts and the cuts in jobs are actually having on economies around the country. So it's when you layer all that together, and I think what you saw over last weekend is people don't want to wait anymore. People are angry. I mean, we saw incredible turnout over the weekend in rallies all across the country. We're seeing it in the polls. People are frustrated.
I want to bring this into real terms as well. I mean, I'm an everyday person. I'm going to tell you that right now. And so when I think about how much things cost, I want to know things I'm going to afford or not afford. Listen to what somebody who's a furniture store owner in Kansas had to say about, say, the price of a sofa.
With the 54%, if we sell a sofa for $1,000, we will have to sell it for $1,290, and if it's 104%, then that sofa will be over $2,000. I don't think they can afford it.
Zolan, that's a real figure for a lot of people. A $2,000 couch as
That's
opposed
a
to what they
lot.
thought they were going to spend?
Yeah, that means higher prices for average Americans. And by the way, that's what Republicans in Congress right now are also worried about here. Hearing from their constituents at town halls and as the weeks go by of
Buy
consumer
American? Yeah, exactly.
If you buy a sofa during this time right now, you deserve to get scammed.
I mean, I feel like that's
Wait, if you find a good price, okay, you're fine. Okay. But if you buy a sofa at $2,000, maybe you weren't very smart to begin with.
clearly what the indication is. Like that's what they want you to do. And this is what people voted for Trump to do. You might not like the outcome of this, but this is what people voted for.
Prices go up, that economic frustration then turning into political backlash against them and the administration.
So Kevin's point is that it's short-lived. What's your reaction?
Well,
What
I mean,
accent? I don't know.
You know, it's up to debate whether it's actually going to be short-lived at this point. Consumer
Nobody
prices
knows.
going up. Again, economists say U.S. importers do pay the price of tariffs. That then goes down to the consumer. Also, one thing that is consistent right now is uncertainty. There's uncertainty right now, and this gamble that the administration is doing that the average American will be able to weather through any type of economic frustration is bad.
They won't. These tariffs will damage tons of businesses, and it'll probably ruin people's lives. Guaranteed that's going to happen. I don't think there's anybody that could deny that. Of course it's going to happen. So did COVID? Yeah, of course.
On the idea that you'll then have investment in American manufacturing. Tough to pair investment with
Wait, what the hell? So it's not a good thing. And are you still with Trump on that? Because I'm curious. Like, why is it that when Trump does these tariffs, Asmongold is praising Trump like he is some kind of cool, badass mob boss, 500 IQ. But then I bet if Biden or Kamala ever does these tariffs, you know what Asmongold would say? Asmongold would say, Joe Biden, he's lost his fucking marbles. He's gone fucking senile and he's gone fucking insane and mental. All right? Exact same action, different people. All right? Asmongold is just like stuck in the cult of personality that Trump has, where, you know, every single thing that Trump does that is harmful is seen as a necessary sacrifice. Any kind of small good result that comes out of it is a massive win, right? And then anything that the other side does that is a small L, he views as a gigantic L. And then if the other side does any kind of big W, that he'll turn it into something negative. Like this is something that Asmongold has done again and again and again and again. Okay, like for example, I would even argue that the entire burning of Teslas and destroying Teslas and stuff like that is a small L, okay? I would define that as a small L. I don't think that's as destructive as the tariffs whatsoever. But Asmongold was streaming for days on end about how destructive destroying Teslas are. But meanwhile, when it comes to tariffs, that is damaging far more Americans and affecting far more American lives. Oh, now suddenly you have to make necessary sacrifices. Now he's making apologia for Trump. Now he's saying that it's all intentional. Now he's saying, masterful gambit, sir. Instead of saying like, oh, dude, I think Trump might be a little bit crazy right now. What the fuck? What the fuck? Does Asmongold not realize he is rich? No, he does realize he is rich. But remember, the persona that Asmongold puts on stream is that he's just like a gamer bro like the rest of them, right? Even though right now he owns like a luxury car. He probably lives pretty lavish. Well, like maybe outside of his room he lives more lavishly, who knows, right? I mean, he could still live like a regular person, but at the same time it's just kind of cringe how he's still willing to put on this whole entire persona of like, oh, I'm just like you guys, I'm like the layman, right? And he's trying to appeal to people like, oh yeah, you know what, that's people can't afford this, people can't afford homes, people can't afford rent, people can't afford food. It's just super cringe that he appeals like this because he doesn't know what it's like at all, you know?
Certainty.
So where does consumer confidence factor into all this? If people are nervous about what they can or cannot afford, how about that short-lived proposition?
I mean, it's plummeting. And I think the only way we're going to restore it is if Congress takes back the car keys from the president and takes away his power to impose the largest tax cut in 50 years with the stroke of a pen. That's the only way that people are going to have confidence. If he announces a series of deals tomorrow, what's going to happen? You know, in a month from now, nobody's going to have any confidence that this is going to go away. As long as he has, you know, basically the gun on the Resolute desk, American consumers, businesses are all at risk as long as it's there.
Oh, we're talking about obviously sofas, but how about iPhones, which so many people have? There's this notion of making it in the United States. Talk to me about that, Kevin. What is the likelihood that that could actually happen? There are people who are saying fat chance.
Moving manufacturing back to the U.S. takes a long time, but I'm still focused on two aspects. I mean, you have to differentiate the tariffs negotiated between countries, because the Eurozone just 48 hours ago said something remarkable. For the first time in decades, we're willing to go to zero on zero. That means they open up
Foos, would you trust Lynn with your current address? Probably not. I mean, like, no, why? Why would you ask that?
All
What the
markets
fuck?
to all products, all services.
What the fuck?
That's a huge win. So
Yeah, of
forget
course.
about Israel or
Probably not.
Thailand or Cambodia. We're talking about one of the largest economies on earth saying, okay, we get the joke. You want to sell cars, you want to sell a Corvette in Berlin? We're okay at zero. We've never had that before. So let's call that a huge win. We haven't done the deal yet, but let's get the German people over here to start negotiating that. Agriculture.
That's clearly why Trump did the tariffs. I mean, I feel like obviously that's why.
Britain will go to 0 on 0. Canada, we'll love to do energy 0 on 0. So that's a huge win for him. Huge.
Bro, how the fuck is okay? Oh my god. Do you really think okay, what countries have made concessions so far? I'm just like actually totally curious. Can they actually come up with one single example of a country making a concession so far? That is not like fucking Zimbabwe or Madagascar or something. Like not one of these like small ass countries where the only fucking thing they import is fucking beans. Like can you please like any countries that is on the level of Canada or Germany or France, or China or any of these countries. Any. Just name one, okay? Has any country made a concession yet? Seriously. That isn't just like a third world country where their entire fucking economy is beans.
He hasn't even taken advantage of it
I
yet.
thought, Kevin,
We'll
part
get
of
down
it,
if they play fair. The problem is
Or rocks.
that I think that there are a lot of things that exist beyond tariffs. And that's kind of what they were talking about, how there's like other types of restrictions that are naturally beneficial for the companies that are there or naturally exclusionary for the companies that are not there. And I think they also want to break down those barriers as well, and not just the monetary numerical barriers too. Regulations, yeah, exactly. That's fake news. Really? I mean, I feel like that'd be common sense. Of course they would do that. I don't know. I mean,
Wait, what do you mean? Oh my god. When does common sense stop being common sense? Because there's plenty of expert things in the world. Okay, the kinds of things people get college degrees for, the kinds of things that people get majors for, are these considered common sense? If common sense applied to every single possible scenario, why would people even go after college degrees? The entire point is that there are things that common sense cannot apply for. Why do people get economic degrees? Why do people get business degrees? Why do people become business majors? Why do people become economists or they become businessmen, right? Why do they have a master's in business? Why do they have a master's in marketing? Maybe it's because sometimes common sense isn't just applicable to every single economy-based situation. Maybe you actually need some degree of expertise, some learned expertise in math and understanding and literacy in order to understand that there are some economy-related things at play that is far more complicated than just sitting comfortably and then just talking about common sense. I mean, see, this is the problem, is that you always appeal to common sense, but then now when you're talking about more complicated issues, suddenly it's like, oh, wow, okay. I mean, I don't know, common sense. It's like, okay.
I bet that's probably what's happening because that's what makes the most sense. Maybe it's not what's happening, but usually what makes the most sense is
Yeah, it makes the most sense. 10 cents. Okay.
probably what's happening.
I'm curious from your perspective, and everyone, if one of the biggest assets of a negotiation is leverage, if he has said they're here to stay, does that remove some of the ability for him to negotiate in the long run with these countries?
Well, I'm trying to differentiate.
No, because he's lying. He just says it all. The problem with somebody like Trump, and this is a big issue that I think a lot of people have with him, is that everything that he says isn't necessarily true. Like, he will go back on pretty much anything he says if he feels like it will be advantageous for him to do so. Like, for better or for worse. You don't see a bigger picture behind it? Yeah, I think that that's definitely what's happening, is that people look at this as a surface level and they don't think about, what's, plan or, step 2 or 3 or 4 of, something like this. Because I don't think that the plan ever was to just put these huge tariffs on these countries and then just leave them on the countries indefinitely. I didn't think that was what was going to happen. And it seems like that's not what's happening.
Between the trade.
Wait, so you're totally okay with Trump lying? So him lying in order to get an advantage is okay now. So lying to the American people is okay in your opinion. I mean, that's fine. It's okay. But then why is it a problem now that when the Democrats were lying, or maybe they were trying to hide the fact that Biden was getting more mentally impaired over time? Like, why do you have a problem with that, right? Because again, it's kind of like lying. In your perspective, it's kind of like lying to get an advantage, right? So if you concede that Trump has to lie to get an advantage, then you also have to concede the same for the Democrats with Biden, right? But I feel like Asmongold wouldn't concede to that. I really don't feel like he would actually concede to that. Yeah, I don't think he's consistent on this. Here's an example. How can you put people into a commercial playing as fast as you can? There's the common sense way, and then there's the study way. Yeah, that kind of applies, I think, right? Yeah, exactly. Kind of.
Non-parity. For an example, you talk about Thailand. I have a
Right, like, for example, nobody would ever say common sense when it comes to developing an app, right? Like, nobody would ever say common sense when it comes to hot wiring, like trying to wire an electric box around the house, right? Nobody would ever say common sense when it comes to that, right? These are all things that require complex college degrees, that really goes into detail, tells you how to do things, and industry experience, right? Check out CGP Create, maybe off stream, because I've heard they copyright strike videos and streams. Okay, so yeah.
company that makes greeting cards. Hewlett Packard laser cutters making greeting cards in Thailand because labor's cheap, and we FedEx them every day here. They only have an economy of 35 billion. And the deficit is 200 billion. That country will never have trade parity with us. It's too small. But we can go to zero tariffs with them. And I'm telling you, there's a difference between getting everybody at 0 on 0, which is free trade basically, which for Trump would be a huge win. That call 48 hours ago, when the Eurozone said, okay, uncle, we'll go to 0, take that win. It's a huge win. Now, getting trade deficits settled, that's going to take decades, because we are the largest economy on earth by a factor of 2.5 times. We're always going to have deficits.
Well, it's also like really important to keep in mind that like the third
You know what's funny? And a big portion of that is
and fourth economy is like
I'll keep saying that. I'll literally keep saying
vastly smaller than China as well. Like, it's pretty much like us, China, and then like I think like Germany or some other country below that. Like the U.S., China is the only country that is even close to the United States. Is it Japan? Okay, yeah, I forgot. I looked at it like 2 days ago. I didn't remember exactly.
Oh, California, hello.
Zoom out, because I do think
Are we forgetting
it's worth
something?
noting that there are many in Congress as well as the business community that are questioning if the White House, and specifically the president, is even ready and in a position to negotiate.
The Home Depot.
So this was last night. Well,
Home Depot. Sorry. The Home Depot theme is just so good, okay? I fucking love the Home Depot theme.
I guess they were. What a
Co-founder
surprise.
made a comment like saying something like, I'm quoting here, I don't understand the goddamn formula. I believe he's been poorly advised by his advisors about this trade situation and this formula they're applying. You already see a tension between Musk and Navarro.
That's right. There's been, and that's not it. There's been mixed messages from different aides. Some that are saying, that they do want negotiations. The White House said today.
The formula is instinct. Yeah. He's just gonna go Trump's just gonna go with vibes. Yeah. Which companies are you gonna give the breaks to? I don't know.
Yeah, Asmongold would never apply this to any liberal whatsoever, okay? If any liberal based their, economic decisions based off of vibes, Asmongold would go crazy and call them irresponsible. So yeah.
I'll just know. Yeah, Ultra Instinct, I know.
Based.
70 governments
Ultra
around that have come to the White House looking to start
yeah.
conversations at the same time.
Amazing.
The person who matters most is Trump and what he wants to do. And there's been plenty of comments of him digging his heels in as well. I wrote a piece weeks ago when the initial tariff.
You mean digging in his heels, except for making a 90-day, he went back, he says, it was the plan all along.
Threat against Mexico and Canada went out, saying that sometimes the tariffs don't seem to be a means to an end. They seem to be an end for the president as well.
How do you see it?
Well, but this is also the difference between running a business and running a country, right? Because the politics of this are, okay, we're going to start negotiating with 70. Start. How long is that going to take? Is that months?
Apparently one day. Yep. All right. Well, that's... Okay, surprise, the
Epic.
experts are dumb. This is why you never listen to experts about this kind of stuff, bro. Like, these people don't know what the fuck they're
Amazing.
talking about.
Wow.
If they did, they'd be
Oh,
making
so
tons of
cool.
money. Are these people
Ooh.
billionaires? No, then they don't understand the stock market as much as they think they do. Again, my mindset, yeah, Kevin is. Well, Kevin still got hoodwinked by Sam. Remember that? But besides that, yeah, one of them is, yeah. I've said before, always look at outcomes. If a person inside of a field thinks that they're an expert, but they do not create expert level outcomes, then they're not an expert. Period. That's it.
Is that the rest of the year? Then we're into the midterm season. And if you're a Republican member of Congress and you are hearing from your constituents who are saying, look, now we're in a recession. Now my prices are even higher than before. Why haven't you stood up to the president? Then they're going to put them in a real bind. And the one thing, the kind of pushback for Trump is he doesn't care because he's not running again. But if he wants to keep his majorities in the House and Senate, his team at least understands you better have a plan. There better be a plan to, are the tariffs a means to an end? Or are they the end game? And what are we going...
The midterms don't happen for 2 years. Like, this is going to be wrapped up in probably a year to 18 months. So, like, if...
How would Asmongold know any outcomes of a field he never studied for? Vibes. Vibes. There you go. All right. We make economic decisions based off of vibes. All right. We don't consult. We don't consult anybody or anyone. All right. We just make it based off of vibes, and then, you know, we just go along with the flow. You know what I mean?
Trump, like, this is a really
Vibes,
big gamble,
like I
but if Trump wins this gamble and he comes out ahead with the tariffs...
See, he said gamble. Do you think a gamble is... Do you think with the most educated guess or most educated decision, he would say gamble? He did say gamble, didn't he?
Especially if he goes through with this, like, I saw people talking about this. There's a chance Trump might be getting rid of the income tax.
To be saying,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Keep our
but...
majorities if we want to keep enacting this regime.
And let me go back. We'll watch this later. But anyway...
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck was that?
It should, exactly. And so, never happening? Well, we don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be honest. I really don't. But this is one thing about it, is that if... And this is what I've said before about a lot of things, is that it's all about bringing home the bacon. If people's lives are better in 2026 than they are right now, people will vote for Republicans and Trump and, like, his ideology again. And if they're worse, they won't vote for him. That's it. That's the reason why he lost during COVID. You know, and again, oh no, he didn't lose. Guys, look, it's funny to hear him say it, but I think I was surprised he didn't lose by more, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's the economy. Exactly. Yes, majority rules, of course.
There you have it. The bar is there, but at least Asmongold doesn't deny the results of the election. At least he isn't in favor of January 6th. Oh yeah. Let's go, Asmongold. Asmongold redemption arc. Asmongold redemption arc, guys. He believes in the results of the election.